The shelves didn't empty all at once. At first, it was one brand missing, then another. Then the quiet, apologetic signs. Out of stock. Check back next week. People joked about it. They always joke at the beginning, when the edges of normal life are only just starting to fray. By the time anyone stopped laughing, the routines that held everything together were already gone. Mornings used to mean coffee, news, a commute. Now they meant counting cans, counting pills, counting how many days before something essential ran out. The numbers never quite added up. They just stretched thin, like everything else. Even time felt different, no longer measured in hours, but in how long something could last. Money became abstract before it became useless. Prices changed so fast, they stopped meaning anything. A loaf of bread might cost 3 times what it did the week before, or 10. It didn't matter if you had money. What mattered was whether the person across from you believed it still meant something. Most didn't. People learned quickly what held value: food, batteries, medicine, warmth. Conversations shifted from careers and plans to trades and rumors. Someone knew someone who could get insulin. Someone heard a truck might come through next week. Someone said it was all temporary. No one really believed that anymore, but it was easier to repeat it than to sit with the alternative. The hardest part wasn't the hunger, though that came. It wasn't even the cold nights when the power failed for good. It was the shrinking of the future. Before, the future was automatic. It arrived on schedule, full of expectations, holidays, birthdays, small plans that assumed the world would keep going. Afterward, the future became a question with no answer. You stopped planning months ahead, then weeks. Eventually, even tomorrow felt too far away to trust. Families changed under that weight. Not suddenly, not dramatically. Just quietly, in the way people spoke to each other, in what they chose not to say. Parents tried to shield their children, stretching meals, inventing reassurances. Children noticed anyway, they always do. You could see it in their questions, the ones that had no good answers. Will it go back to normal? Normal. The word itself started to feel like something fragile, something you could break just by saying it out loud. Neighbors became closer and more distant at the same time. Neighbors became closer and more distant at the same time. You depended on them in ways you never had before, sharing what little you could, watching out for each other. But there was also a quiet calculation behind every interaction. Everyone was running low. Everyone was afraid. Trust didn't disappear, but it changed shape, bending under pressure. There were moments of grace. Someone sharing a meal they couldn't spare. A candle lit in a dark room, passed around so everyone could see for a while. Laughter that felt almost shocking when it came, like a memory from another life. Those moments mattered more than they ever had, precisely because they were so rare. But grief threaded through everything. Not just grief for what was lost, jobs, homes, stability, but for what would never happen now. The plans that had seemed so certain, the version of life that had felt guaranteed. It wasn't taken all at once. It eroded, piece by piece. Until one day you realized you were mourning something you couldn't even fully name. Living through an economic collapse wasn't a single event. It was a long unraveling. A slow understanding that the systems you trusted were not permanent, that the safety you assumed was not guaranteed. It was learning, day after day, to live with less certainty, less comfort, less hope, and still find some way to keep going. And people did keep going, not because they were fearless or strong in any heroic sense, but because stopping wasn't an option. Because there were still people to care for, still small reasons to try, still a quiet, stubborn instinct to endure. Even when the world you knew was gone, life, in its fragile, persistent way, remained. Not the same, never the same, but still there.